Hello and welcome to Connect. I'm Simon Hyatt. We're back in our studio this week, learning a little bit about our city's history through a brand new book, as well as the current situation in Saskatoon when it comes to hunger and homelessness. As always, we want to connect with you, our viewers. You can tweet us at Shaw TV Connect, give us a like on Facebook, email shawtvconnect@shaw.ca, or call us at 306-665-3796. And now here's what we're connecting to today. Food Banks Canada has just released their annual report looking at hunger in Canada, and the results may surprise you. Laurie O'Connor from the Saskatoon Food Bank and Learning Centre will join us to talk about the report and the situation here in Saskatoon. But first, celebrating a century of the Saskatoon Public Library. Appropriately enough, the occasion is being marked with a book. We'll hear from its author and also get a modern perspective on our library system. Well, 100 years ago, the city began offering its citizens books free of charge through the creation of the Saskatoon Public Library. And of course, that system has evolved dramatically over the past century or so, which is chronicled in a brand new book called Turning Back the Pages, 100 Years at the Saskatoon Public Library. Very happy to be joined by the book's author, Ruth Miller, who is here, along with Nikki Desjardins, who is the communications person for the Saskatoon Public Library. Thank you both for coming on Connect.
Thank you for having us.
And happy birthday. 100 years. This is pretty incredible.
Yeah,
we don't look 100, do we?
Not at all. You both got the oil of Olay going or something. Looking fantastic. Ruth, I'll start a little bit with you if you don't mind. I know in many ways you're the perfect person to write this book. You spent 35 years working for the Saskatoon Public Library. First of all, just what drew you to library work? How did you end up working in the library here in our city?
Well, I tumbled into it accidentally, as many librarians do. I started working at a library in Toronto, actually. In those days, you could get a job in 20 minutes, and I went to Toronto and I got a job in 20 minutes and had worked there. That's how I got into library work. And then I came back here. I was working for the Star Phoenix, and then I had a baby, and it was too hard to be a newspaper reporter, so that's when I applied at the library.
Very good stuff, and spent 35 years there. That's pretty incredible. And 15 years in the local history room, is that right?
Yeah, head of the local history room. It was a very exciting job. It doesn't sound exciting, but it was.
I think it does sound exciting. I'm a bit of a history dork, I will admit. I love history. I find Saskatoon, we're a young city by the standards of Montreal, Paris, London, but we've got an interesting history here. I would find that work fascinating. That's a great department at the library.
Yes, I loved local history. Once I got in there, I didn't leave. I could have had other jobs running libraries. No, I just wanted to stay put.
That's where you wanted to be. That's a good decision. Nikki, for yourself, I'm guessing the process was maybe more involved than the 20-minute application that Ruth went through?
A little bit more, yeah. I got my degree in actually marketing, and I worked in in the university library system, and then I moved away for a brief period and worked in a children's department of the Brandon Public Library in Manitoba. And it was really great for me to come back to Saskatoon and be able to marry my degree with the part-time jobs that I loved. So I love being in the library, and I love being able to promote what the library can offer. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you see us making an appearance in Shaw TV at the Saskatoon Public Library, we've gone through Nikki, and fantastic in helping us out. So let's get right into the book a little bit, if you don't mind, Ruth. First of all, talk a little bit about the process, because 100 years, there's a lot of history there. Must have been somewhat difficult to condense it into this book form. How did you arrive at this final product?
Well, it was a huge labor of love involving a lot of people. I interviewed lots of people and did email interviews and talked about it constantly with people. And I went through annual reports and newspaper accounts and board minutes. I wrote the original manuscript in just 10 months, and so I had to work really hard.
That is pretty impressive. Just looking a little bit of the synopsis. It looks beautiful. Look
it's
at that.
It's quite a dazzling book, full of color pictures. Library histories have really evolved. They used to be rather sedate affairs, mostly about buildings and facilities and so forth. But recently, a number of libraries in the prairies have been celebrating their 100th anniversaries, and they are just busting out all over. Some of them have, as I say, lots of color pictures and color features, and they are including biographies. And ours is unusual in that it's got a lot of humorous anecdotes. It sort of started with Max Braithwaite. He did a a history of the Wapiti Regional Library System a number of
Interesting.
years ago, and he's managed to sneak in some prairie history. And then Don Kerr wrote a book about the provincial system, and he has quite a sense of humor, and so humor permeates his book. And then they had started hiring published authors to write these things, and so they just can't help themselves. They have to liven it up with social history. So then Brian Brennan, a well-known Calgary biographer, did one similar. It looks a lot like this in terms of its color, and he put in a fair amount of biography. And then Todd Babiak in Edmonton wrote one about the Edmonton Public Library. Theirs doesn't have as many pictures, but he's a wonderful writer, and so he had incorporated a lot of municipal political history.
Sure.
Ours does all of that, and it's sort of groundbreaking in a way, because of all the humor and the color and I expended a lot of energy researching the history of the chief librarians.
Right.
We've had some extraordinary chief librarians at the Saskatoon Public Library. One was Angus Mowat, who is the father of Farley Mowat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he was quite a character, and I should mention there's a play that will be over by the time this airs, and then the fellow that played Angus Mowat was just incredible, just terribly funny.
That's great. Well, okay, now I'm going to put you on the spot. I don't want to give too much away from the book, because of course we want people to go and buy it, but if there's one or two favorite anecdotes of yours, if you could give the people a taste of what they can experience here.
I wrote one down. Oh, there's a funny one about the Nazi book scam, but I think it's a little too long. So let's see.
That's a good tease right there, though.
Yeah,
I'm now so curious about what this scam was. Yeah.
I'll summarize it. The Nazis tried to sneak propaganda into Canadian libraries, so they sent a shipment to Saskatoon and addressed to a fictitious person with the instructions that if it didn't reach that person, they were to be donated to the public library. Well, the library, I think it was Angus Mowat actually, or it was it would have been J.S. Wood. He was a pretty smart character, and so he suspected them a little. So he sent the whole shipment over to a professor of German who went through them, and he pronounced that they were just outright propaganda, and they were fed to the flames. So we foiled the Nazis.
That's incredible. Yeah, I guess you usually don't think about book burning being a good thing, but
exactly.
maybe this is a case where it was. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah. And there's another funny one about Angus Mowat's dog. Have you ever read The Dog Who Wouldn't Be?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, it's quite a funny book. I'll just read that one.
Sure.
A droll story about Mutt, star of Farley Mowat's book The Dog Who Wouldn't Be, attests to his skill as a retriever. Angus was in the basement of a local hardware store, visiting a friend who was a gun expert. The friend selected a gun and aimed it to check out its balance. Mischievously, Angus said, "Bang!" And Mutt raced up the stairs to the store's front window, grabbed a stuffed partridge in his teeth, and triumphantly delivered it to Angus. And that story's in here, along with a picture of Mutt. And I wrote to Angus Mowat, and I said, "Is this Mutt? We think it's Mutt. It was taken with Angus." He wrote back and said, "Yeah, that's my dog, Mutt."
That's great. So, as you say, it chronicles the story kind of through the chief librarians to a certain degree. And there have been 7 in history, is that correct?
Yeah.
And of course, traces the whole evolution from basically just handing out books, I guess, to what we have now. Books
Which
on
is an
tapes,
incredible system,
video games, movies.
And we're one of the best. We've been acknowledged as one of the best in Canada. And we went from, the province went from one of the worst in North America, third worst in North America. And in 40 years, it developed to a state where it's now one of the best in Canada, or was one of the best. I haven't checked lately. But
I'm sure it is. I think we got a great public library here. Nikki, that's got to be a source of pride for you and everyone who works at the library when you hear things like that, among the best in North America.
It is great. It's a great place to be, and everybody that works there is very passionate about our library system, so it's always great to get that recognition. We've had recognition around Canada and around the entire world, actually, so it's nice. And this year we've gotten lots of love from everybody, and it's coming from all over the world because people move away, but they still have cherished stories about coming to the public library, so it's been great to hear.
Absolutely. I remember going there even as a little kid and just going and looking for all the kids' books, your Encyclopedia Brown, that stuff. The kid, you got Pooh Corner upstairs.
Exactly. We're actually on our 3rd generation of Pooh Corner, I believe.
Wow.
So young grandparents are bringing in their grandchildren, and they remember coming when they were children themselves. So it's been excellent to hear those stories. And I haven't been there very long, so to see the growth and change even in the last couple of years, and then to hear stories about what it was like all along. There's things that haven't changed, but we've also adapted and evolved as technology grows and the demand for what the library should offer grows. So
that's great.
great to see.
I remember not too long ago going in there. And video games now. You can get video games.
Yeah, we do.
My God, why isn't every kid in the city at the library all
I
the
know.
time?
We have amazing new services too. Another thing is a lot of our e-services. Like you can download music from the library. So it's a free and legal way. It's called Freegal. And so it's a free and legal way to grow your music library. And it's people are amazed because they're like, well, don't they disappear after a certain amount of time? But no, you can download 3 free songs and they're in your personal library for life. So it's just different things like that. You can read magazines online, full color. They're beautiful. It's all free. You just need a library card. So it's amazing the services that we offer now.
I'm just going to go into my personal library history because the one I love is downloading the books on tape and put for a car ride, taking a long trip somewhere.
Yep.
The miles just fly by. It's fantastic.
It's great, yeah.
Lots of great services. So all of the wonderful things at the library being celebrated really throughout the year, 100 years of the Saskatoon Public Library. Unfortunately, the day we're actually taping the show is the day of the big party for the book. So you folks have probably missed that unless you happen to be there. But there are things going on right through the year, Nikki?
Yeah, actually, we've had a really ambitious year. So we're kind of wrapping it up. This is our big launch, and this is the thing that will endure and go on into the future. But we've had a huge celebration on May 26th. That was actually the anniversary of when we opened for book circulation. So we had huge parties at our 8 locations. We've had a little precursor to the book. Earlier in about April to June, we had a gallery exhibit in our very own gallery at Francis Morrison Central, just a sneak peek of some of the images that were going to be in the book. And we've done parties, initiatives. We come out with lists of 100 favorite kids' books and 100 favorite places to read in Saskatoon. We've got some really great submissions for that, and just we've been collecting the love, and it's been great all year.
That's fantastic. Ruth, can you believe, I mean, from back when you started, you don't have to give the date if you don't want to, but the growth...
87.
87. Oh, okay. That's
no, that was when I started.
That was when you stopped?
I started at the library in 67.
Okay.
And I started, as said, in local history at 1987. Okay,
so almost 50 years ago, you started at the Saskatoon Public Library. Can you believe the growth? Would you ever have predicted the path that this library would take?
Just the technological changes alone, which I chronicle in the book, and it's not as boring as you might think. There's one little section called Attack of the Killer Bugs, all the things that went wrong when we got our first mainframe computer. It's quite a funny story, all the things that went wrong.
What, computers cause problems? I find it hard to, this sounds like something you'd find in the fiction section.
Yeah, exactly.
This is some sort of sci-fi. That's amazing. Well, you've certainly done a good job. I want to read this book in particular. How can the folks get their hands on this? Where's the best place to get Turning Back the Pages?
Actually, just contact the library. So you can contact our administration office between the hours of 10 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. Monday to Friday. All the details will be posted online as well. So if you go to saskatoonlibrary.ca/SPL100YRS. Everything will be detailed there. The book is $29.95 plus GST, and it's a great gift idea too for the holidays coming up. So anybody who has a love of the library, a love of books, a love of history.
And Saskatoon social history. This is largely social history.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. The evolution of the city itself.
Yeah, the library is a big part of the city and our community, so it really chronicles the growth of our city, not just the library. So
yeah, it starts in horse and buggy days, actually. See, there's a picture of the horse and buggy days, Second Avenue.
Wow, that's incredible. And was the original library, was that sort of where the Francis Morrison branch is now, or was it a different spot?
Different spot, actually. Different spot. Yeah, the original library started in the basement of the Oddfellows Hall, I believe,
Oh,
and that
okay.
is located, I believe, where Tusk is now.
Yeah,
So
Oh, wow.
the restaurant, yeah,
Near where the Vesper is.
yeah.
Very cool. All right, so as we wrap things up here a little bit, we've looked back on 100 years. Now, for either of you, let's look to the future a little bit. Are there things you would like to see for Saskatoon's library in the coming years and decades?
I want it to keep on doing what it's been doing and to continue to be a community center, because it's positioned to be the heart of the community, at least for people who read, and I hope most people can read. Not all can, and that
Yeah.
we work on that too, don't we?
Yeah, exactly.
Right, absolutely.
I say we. I'm retired now, but I still identify with the library.
For sure, yeah. I know a good partnership with Read Saskatoon, a great organization that promotes literacy in the city. One of many great programs in the city.
Yeah, exactly.
Nikki, anything you would like to see in the coming years for the public library?
I know a new central library is our top capital
Sure.
focus, which our director speaks to very often. I think that would just be something great to just see Saskatoon Public Library keep growing. It's an essential service in this city, and to see the amount of people that walk through our doors and use us, anybody that says libraries are irrelevant anymore, I just can't believe that, because I'm there every day and I see the people come through the door and I see the things we offer when you don't even need to step through the door. So it's with the technological changes and everything that's coming, I think we're just going to keep growing in that direction, and we will never be irrelevant in my eyes.
That's great. So do you have another book in you, Ruth, for this growth that continues on?
Actually,
maybe
I have a book that I'm going to try and find a publisher for.
Oh, okay. Very good stuff. All right, good stuff. Well, we'll look maybe for a sequel to Turning Back the Pages as well, because there's so much history, so much going on at the library. One more time, people want to get the book, just get in touch with the library.
Yeah, get in touch with the library. Probably through the website is where you can get the details most fully.
I'm going to give out the phone number of the person who's going to be selling them. 975-7528.
Yes,
There you go.
that's
There's
right.
the librarian's
Yeah,
mind
there
coming
it is,
through.
yeah.
Perfect. Good stuff.
And saskatoonlibrary.ca.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Nikki. Thank you, Ruth, for coming on to Connect today. Congratulations on 100 years of library history here in Saskatoon.
And thank you for inviting us.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right, we're going to take a bit of a break here on Connect. Stay tuned. Coming up, we'll talk with Lori O'Connor from the Saskatoon Food Bank and Learning Center.